Good morning, everyone. I know there's going to be some crying at some point, or maybe through the whole thing. But I'm just going to pretend that Dad's back there on the back row, sticking out his tongue, making googly eyes, and remember that he wouldn't want anybody to be sad today. He'd want us to be laughing and having a good time. Everyone here knows that laughing was his favorite thing to do. If you're on the holiday side of the family, you may not know me or my siblings, but we sure are grateful. We are so grateful that the amazing Hal Halliday met our mom at a church dance back in 1982 and swept her off her feet. I am Luella, youngest of all 11 siblings in our blended family. I was lucky enough to have Dad from the time I was 5 years old. Being a caboose by a few years, there were even some who thought I was an only child. But I would be remiss if I didn't take this time to thank the siblings who came before me and helped shape Dad into the dad that I needed. Thank you to Holly, Brad, Brent, Suzanne, and Heather. I don't know where you are. Where are you? There you are, right in front of me. Paul, Renee, Byron, Jason, and Jared. I love you all. I'm so grateful for your presence in my life. And I am so grateful that we got to share this amazing man. How do I even begin to see what he meant to me? How do I even begin to express what he did for me, for my mom, for my whole entire family? My mom was a widow with 6 children. Probably not the most attractive package for most 46-year-old men. But now my dad, he took us on in addition to the 5 children he already had, and he made no distinction between any of us. We all knew that he loved us and that he'd do anything he could for us. He had this uncanny ability to make anyone he met feel special and loved. My brother and I were laughing yesterday about how a quick trip to the store or anywhere with Dad was not a quick trip because he knew everyone and would chat with the cart boy to the grocery clerk to the deli man to 3 neighbors who stopped him in the hallway, to people who said, "Don't you work at the post office?" Everyone wanted to talk to him. He told me once that he wasn't book smart, but he tried to be people smart and to take an interest in them and in their stories. And that is exactly what he did. He was so kind and so friendly to literally everyone he met. We would be out in the front yard and he would wave to someone driving by and I'd say, "Who's that?" And he'd say, "I don't know." It didn't matter. He was just going to say hello. There's one thing I know he would want for today and for every day. And that is for us to get to know each other, to care for and to love one another. If you're here, you loved my dad. And that makes us family. So please introduce yourself to me today and give me the opportunity to know you and love you like he did. When I was a teenager, I went through a phase where everything, including Dad, was extremely annoying. I would roll my eyes when he'd say things like, "That sounds like a wiener." Or when he'd come to my room early on Saturday morning singing the BYU fight song. Then there were the times I'd have a friend over for dinner and Dad would get his first bite on a fork and then yell, "Over the lips, past the gums, look out stomach, here it comes." If you've eaten a meal with him, you've probably experienced that. He was constantly teasing, giving whisker burns, tricking you into thinking he was being electrocuted, or figuring out how to scare you. He'd do just about anything to make a person laugh. I didn't appreciate it as a teenager, but his ability to laugh no matter what was happening in his life or in the world was a gift. A gift that has blessed me in my personal life and in my career, with my family, not to mention in my everyday ability to deal with the ups and downs of life. It's a gift I hope I can pass on to my children and grandchildren just like he did. I cannot give a tribute to my dad without mentioning the thing he loved with all his heart and dedicated his life to, the gospel of Jesus Christ. He converted to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in his 30s, and it became a focal point of his life. He served faithfully in every calling, from primary teacher to scoutmaster to elders quorum president, and was tireless in his service. He served in the temple for more than 40 years. In 1999, when I was in the missionary training center preparing to go on my own mission, every Tuesday we got to go serve in the temple. Dad switched his shifts during the time I was there so he could officiate in the sessions that I was able to attend. I was so proud to introduce my missionary friends to my dad, and I loved being able to see him each week. Dad wanted nothing more than to be a missionary himself, and he and my mom served 3 church service missions. They would have done more if they could have physically. There was nothing he enjoyed more than serving others and doing the work of the Lord. I've never known a more faithful and dedicated servant than him. I was lucky enough to be able to visit and have a few days with Dad last month. I have always known, I think we've all always known, that when the time arrived that Dad could no longer mow the lawn or weed the garden or go to the store for a gallon of milk, that would be the end for him. And it was. He was the hardest worker I've ever known, and once he couldn't physically work anymore, he was ready to go. I was able to say goodbye, to tell him how special he was to me, and how much I loved him. The greatest gift he ever gave me was his love. I knew I meant the world to him, and that changed the world for me. I know Dad wouldn't want us to be sad, but I believe Russell M. Nelson was right when he said, irrespective of age, we mourn for those loved and lost. Mourning is one of the deepest expressions of pure love. It is a natural response in complete accord with divine commandment. Thou shalt live together in love, insomuch that thou shalt weep for the loss of them that die. Moreover, we can't fully appreciate joyful reunions later without tearful separations now. The only way to take sorrow out of death is to take love out of life. My dad loved hard, served faithfully, and lived well. He often expressed regret for dropping out of high school when he was young, but he has now completed his coursework in the only university that matters, the University of Life. Gordon B. Hinckley once said, death, though bitter to observe, is not the end, but is rather only another graduation from which we go on to a better life. I know that is true. I know Dad is rejoicing on the other side, enjoying a beautiful reunion with loved ones who have gone before. He lived his life with an eternal perspective, knowing that the Savior had paid the price for all of us, and believing in the gift of the promised resurrection. If ever there was a valedictorian of life, my dad is it. Congratulations, Dad. You graduated with high honors. Say hi to Mom for me. I love you and I will miss you. Thank you for teaching me the things that are most important in this life. You are one of the greatest gifts I have ever received.